우리는 다 같은 형제와 다름없습니다.
We need peace in the world. We are all brothers and sisters. It wasn't just Koreans, Chinese, or Philippines. So many women and young girls from throughout Asian countries had to go through this suffering and pain.
샌프란시스코의 주인인 여러분입니다.
So you are the owner of San Francisco. So with the energy and strength you give me, I think I can live up to 200 years old.
여러분, 힘을 주셔서 감사합니다.
Thank you so much for giving us the strength.
여러분들 건강하시고 사랑합니다.
I wish you the happiness and health, and I love you all. Thank you.
I say this with a great deal of love and respect, but shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you for denying what happened.
How Beijing weaponizes comfort women as propaganda tool. Comfort women are not just a relic of Japan's aggressive imperial history. They are today a key tool in Beijing's disinformation strategy to isolate Japan and the USA and East Asia. By Jason Morgan, March 24, 2018. The comfort women issue appears, on the surface, to be a bilateral problem between South Korea and Japan. In reality, it is deeper. The key player is increasingly not South Korea, but China. And the ultimate target is not Japan, but the United States, as the comfort women are co-opted by Beijing in its anti-American information war. China has been waging this war since Beijing realized after the first Gulf War that it would likely be unable to the United States on the battlefield. As the document Unrestricted Warfare, published by two high-ranking Chinese military officials, makes clear, the Chinese have chosen to fight the U.S. and particularly the U.S.-Japan alliance, using desinformatsiya rather than hardware and troops. Chinese information warfare in the United States is a massive and multi-front campaign. In December 2017, The Washington Post alerted its readers to the huge scope and scale of Chinese Communist Party influence operations inside the United States, which permeate American institutions of all kinds. In May 2017, The New York Times reported that the Chinese Students and Scholars Association at the University of California, San Diego managed within hours to get the Dalai Lama uninvited as UCSD commencement speaker. The more than 150 Chinese students and scholars associations in the U.S., the Times added, are funded and influenced by Chinese Communist Party headquarters. In January 2018, The Washington Post detailed that UT Austin rejected funds from the China-United States Exchange Foundation because the Hong Kong-based foundation and its leader, Tung Chee-hwa, are closely linked to the branch of the Chinese Communist Party that manages influence operations abroad. But on-campus campaigns are just the tip of the iceberg. The comfort women issue represents arguably Beijing's most aggressive information war maneuver. It has been a source of serious friction between Seoul and Tokyo since the 1990s, and in the past 3 years, has threatened to upend the uneasy security relationship triangulated through Washington, between South Korea and Japan. Rending relations between the three democracies is China's premier policy goal in East Asia. The South Korean government uses the comfort women issue mainly for domestic consumption, as a sure vote-getter or deflector of unwanted scrutiny. China's ambitions are bigger. The CCP is much more interested in how this issue serves its global agenda. Domestic politics runs a distant second. This is the difference and the reason that Beijing can operate on a much larger scale than Seoul on the comfort women front. A three-front strategy. Globally, Beijing has so far moved through three main vectors: overseas Chinese networks, a largely compliant press, and the United Nations. An example of the first is the Comfort Woman statue that mysteriously appeared in Manila in 2017. An investigation by the Sankei Shimbun revealed that the statue project was orchestrated by overseas Chinese groups in the Philippines, including the Wai Ming Charitable Trust Foundation Company, long a front for politicizing the comfort women issue in mainland China. Overseas Chinese groups have also pressed hard on the comfort women and Nanjing issues in the U.S. and Canada. In San Francisco, Superior Court judges Julie Tang and Lillian Singh retired from the bench in order to co-found the Comfort Women Justice Coalition, which was ultimately successful in bringing a comfort woman statue to San Francisco. Chinese-American San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee was himself a vocal proponent of the comfort woman statue. In Canada, Chinese-Canadian legislator Jenny Kwan has been pushing for a Nanking Memorial Day under the auspices of Canada Alpha, a propaganda outlet run in country by Hong Kong-born Dr. Josephine Kai Wong. Dr. Wong was one of the first, in 1997, to promote Iris Chang's book Rape of Nanjing, a project which was, in turn, funded and coordinated by Chinese-American Ignatius Ding and his pro-China group Global Alliance. A sympathetic Western media, for its part, has largely accepted South Korean and Chinese historical claims and repeats, without adding critical context, what Beijing's spokespersons say. For example, speaking on January 10, 2018, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lu Kang scolded Japan about the comfort women issue, standing with South Korean President Moon Jae-in pressing Tokyo to make yet another apology. At the United Nations, China has been working to register the comfort women with the UNESCO Memory of the World program. Also at the UN, Beijing has repeated the talking points of sex slavery and systematic rape, demanding that Japan offer a full apology and reparations. In fact, China has partnered with North Korea in the registration efforts. It is notable that several prominent persons connected with Chung Dae-hyuk, the most vocal comfort woman-related NGO in South Korea, have been arrested as North Korean spies. The comfort women issue allows China, a country which leads the world in forced abortions, gendercide, sex-selective abortions of girls in favor of giving birth to boys, and draconian restrictions on a woman's rights to have children, to deflect from its own women's rights record. In portraying Japan as uniquely perverted, China hopes to isolate its perennial enemy from the world community while assuming the mantle of champion of gender equality. The more China can convince the international community to believe the worst about the Japanese, the easier it will be for China to have its way in Taiwan, Tibet, Xinjiang, Bhutan, Nepal, Vietnam, the Philippines, Mongolia, and beyond. The comfort women are unwitting ground troops in China's push to whitewash its own programs against Tibetans, Uyghurs, Mongolians, Falun Gong practitioners, Chinese girls, and dissident Chinese citizens, topple the United States-based network in East Asia, and retain its title as the regional hegemon. Comfort women, a nuanced history. None of this is to say that a comfort woman system did not exist in the Japanese Empire. Time-tested Korean practices of buying and selling women as concubines to members of the elite Yangbin ruling class served as models for the Japanese military for contracting women to work at military brothels in Manchuria, China, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific. Korea was annexed by Japan in 1910 and was as much a part of the Japanese Empire then as Hawaii is part of the U.S. today. Many women recruited from Korea were bought from their parents by Korean pimps or else were made vague promises by brokers, again, largely Korean, of employment prospects abroad. The Korean pimps and brokers simply repurposed the old Yangban trafficking practice in order to deliver the Korean women to the comfort stations which the Japanese military used to combat sexually transmitted diseases and prevent soldiers from revealing classified information to civilian spies posing as prostitutes in unlicensed brothels. Many comfort women were professional prostitutes from Japan. Traditional Japanese pleasure quarters like Yoshiwara suffered from falling clientele as increasing numbers of Japanese young men were shipped to the front. Many prostitutes made the savvy business decision to go where the work was. Some comfort women earned enough for their services at rates set and enforced by the Japanese military authorities to pay off the advance money given to their parents. Saving money was encouraged by the Japanese military, and accumulating large sums was hardly impracticable. Now deceased comfort woman Muno Keichu saved up a staggering 26,000 yen in 3 years, at a time when a sergeant in the Japanese army made between 23 and 30 yen per month. Moon made more money in 1943, a lot more, than the Japanese lieutenant general commanding all imperial land forces in Burma. More than history. Careful historians in South Korea, Japan, the United States, and elsewhere have repeated historical facts in an attempt to modulate the now conventional rhetoric. But these historians have been mistaken in imagining that the comfort women issue is simply a historical question. It is not. It is another mode of Chinese disinformation. But while comfort women propaganda is targeted at the U.S., a collateral benefit for Beijing lies in seeking revenge against Japan. For example, in a recent policy speech, Chinese President Xi Jinping proposed 3 new state memorial days, July 7th in commemoration of the Marco Polo Bridge incident, September 3rd in commemoration of the Japanese surrender to Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist forces, and December 13th, in commemoration of the Japanese advance into Nanking. In other words, China is invoking history in its direct confrontation with Japan. China is therefore co-opting comfort women into the grand project of the CCP to reassert its authority and to retake East Asia and beyond. What appears to be an issue between South Korea and Japan over history is actually a live-fire battle to draw East Asian states into satellite positions around the Middle Kingdom once again.